Hey, Stephen, do you know anything about watermelons?
Some of them are seedless.
Yeah, but that puts an end to actual gardening. And since we're going to segue to gardening, and the guy that wears the watermelon shirt everywhere he goes,
Munir Haque,
Munir Haque, yeah, of Curate.
right.
What's Curate all about?
Curate is about connecting within the security and IT space, helping with managed services as well as security and overall compliance when you're a dispensary as well as a cultivation facility. Curate can help with the security and IT within your business. Also, they're just really well connected. So if you need something or if you're looking to learn more, Curate's a great place to start.
It's the only state that I've seen develop a culture around hemp-derived, THC beverages and have an entire culture around it where it was still separate. New Mexico is a wild one because I went to sleep on Friday night with certain regulations and woke up Monday having to rethink all of my clients.
That's an interesting thing too, where all of a sudden it's just like Vans shoes.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm smoking Vans.
Yeah.
Smoking on some Vans. But who made these Vans? I don't know.
Yeah.
Then the consumer doesn't know.
Are we
So-
going authentic? Or are we going?
Yeah. The amount of THC you might need and the amount of CBD you need, those are two like very different.
Yeah, they're very different things, right? And they do different. There's it controls your brain differently, and like your body. CBD is like interesting, like especially like out of LA, with the whole health and wellness, like packaging and presentation. There was no stigma. It just entered without any stigma,
Right.
and it's just like just played its role in everyone's like workout ethics or their work ethic or whatever.
You could put, I saw in downtown LA in 2018, I saw like the ability to add it into your coffee.
Yeah,
There was a short window where you could add
Yeah.
CBD,
yeah,
and then it got deemed like a supplement or it got regulated by the FDA.
yeah.
And then coffee shops were like slapped on the wrist for doing that. But I do remember like, oh, I could just get a little bit add on of like CBD into my coffee,
Yeah.
which, great margin on that
Yeah.
for a coffee shop store. Decent benefit to the consumer, especially if you're just used to like your cup of Joe in the morning.
100%.
Um, what happened here though was there was a lot of success in the hemp CBD space
Yeah.
early on, like the likes of Sean Weber and Stephen Brown and Mini Grown to some extent, and some of these like brands that have gone on to make meaningful contributions to the cannabis space.
Yeah.
But the medical operators were paying close attention to the success of hemp CBD.
Yeah.
Think like vapes in the CBG space and like things like that. So like for better or for worse, those products left hemp shops,
Yeah.
and year over year, hemp shops have been, and it's flattened out a little bit now, but like year over year, products were being taken away from the hemp stores,
Yeah.
whether they went to the medical cannabis shops or they went to the liquor stores. But the independent operators both had issues with both.
Yeah.
Because vapes were incredibly popular. Now, knowing what we know now in 2026 about the cannabis market and like the hemp market, we're probably better off in Minnesota from a regulatory standpoint to have cut vapes out, because it's really hard to police. Is this a CBD vape? Is this a CBG vape? Is this a THCA vape? And I'm glad that we're not in that place where you, as the president of Curate, is attempting to serve the cannabis industry while there's smoke shops that are selling competing products.
Yeah. Yeah.
And generally, I think the understanding is if you're selling hemp beverages, you're not necessarily competing with dispensary stores.
Correct.
And maybe you can weigh in on this, but like Minnesota is one of the few adult use rec states where hemp beverages are popular inside of the dispensaries.
Yeah.
Or not even popular, but like they're consistently carried.
It's the only state that I've seen develop a culture around hemp-derived, THC beverages and have an entire culture around it where it was still separate. You know what I mean? It's a different vibe. It's a different feel. It's a different culture. And then your cannabis shops is a different vibe and different culture, but they play, right? Kentucky was the only other place where I've seen maybe half of that vibe,
Because they were very big on hemp CBD in the beginning, but
Yeah.
but like unfortunately what seems to be a common denominator is like if it doesn't get you high,
Yeah.
it doesn't have that much of a product
Totally.
stickiness to it.
Totally.
And that's where 5 milligrams and 10 milligrams, it works on the THC side. Our bias at Canna Connect is just we just want to include more cannabinoids in the party.
Yeah.
And we want to include more people in the party too.
Yeah.
Right. And like last night was a great example of just a lot of different people together
Yeah.
and no agenda as much as possible.
No, but it was also like everyone like picked their lane last night, especially like, you know, I mean, I know there was regulations kind of involved,
Yeah.
but there was unity and people in different lanes
Yeah, different glasses.
together,
Right.
right? It was kind of cool.
All the drinks had ice. It just, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Tied it all together, right?
Okay, so Munir, you've worked within countless states, but like
Yeah.
Maryland comes to mind. Beyond Maryland, New York,
Jersey.
Jersey,
Yeah.
East Coast. So you spent some time in Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does each market develop a little bit differently?
You know, each market has a playbook, right? And I mean, the country has a playbook. We have a regulatory playbook, but each market regulations just kind of go off on tangents. And you know, for lack of a better like way to say it, and it completely changes how an operator builds out from a cost perspective to how heavy you know, the tech needs to be, how compliant it needs to be. And it really changes the landscape. So market to market, you know, very different in that sense.
Every market is its own Rubik's Cube.
100%. Yeah.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah. There is no like pick up and copy and paste.
No, because you're gonna have to twist and then like your partners are called upon to do different things as well.
100%. 100%. I was in a funny conversation yesterday. A compliant, one of our compliant partners, saying, okay, well, you asked me to go into Florida, but that was completely different from what you told me Jersey was going to be, and then completely different from what you told me like Maryland was going to be. And you're having me rewrite, you know, my software 3 times, you know, for the same like entity that I'm going to be reporting to. You know, and so if you think
It's
about
Rubik's
that,
Cube, like
but it's a heavy lift on the small company.
yeah. And the more I'm in this space, the more I realize a lot of these companies are small.
Yeah.
Even if you have a relatively known brand,
Yeah.
you're still like a small to medium sized company at best. Right? The entire cannabis industry nationwide is smaller than some publicly traded companies.
100%. The fact that if you've been in this for more than 5 years, folks, out of respect, look at you as a vet almost like, but also when you pull out and just look at time and whatnot, we've only had so much time to grow. Like, and it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
And so some are bigger, some companies are bigger than others, but relatively we're all still pretty small.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, look at the community, like state to state, this is the tightest, smallest community, you know, in any vertical, right? Because we're still kind of small.
Yeah. Do any states mirror each other? Like, have you found any synergy? Not any, but like, what are some of the more synergistic states if you were to comp?
Yeah, I mean, there's always like certain variables that kind of change, but like Jersey was very close, like similar to New York.
Okay.
You know, I found after New Mexico, New Mexico was a wild one because I went to sleep on Friday night with certain regulations and woke up Monday having to rethink all of my clients. Like, you know, it was actually for the better.
Yeah.
And for their wallets, but that's how fast things change. But you know, there was a lot of like kind of adaptation to like New Mexico that kind of became similar to California per se, you know. And then New Mexico, you know, I was going off tangent a little bit, but they're one of the states that like allow jelly style, right? And so you know, and that's not common,
Right.
you know, and it's also like there's a lot of nuances that go on to manage that, right? And then the product and the handling, the product, the way the product.
Right. New Mexico. I mean, you're from California.
From
Did you
California.
spend any time in New
I
Mexico?
spent a lot of time there. Yeah.
Even prior to cannabis?
Prior to cannabis, being a musician and like a lot of good venues and touring through there. I also like really old stuff and culture. And so like I'm drawn to states that anything over 100 years old, in the US is considered pretty old.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into some fun questions in a little bit, but like a year ago, we were starting to do education in Minnesota, kind of collectively as a partner. And now that you've spent like more than a full year, but like really paying attention for a while now, like what has like actually surprised you about the Minnesota cannabis rollout, or like like what blind spots did you not see a year ago that are more so like challenging in 2026 and beyond now?
You know, from an education standpoint, from whatever angle, I don't feel like a good job was done educating the licensee on like how intricate like say like at least the security part of the regulation needs to be and what that actually entails. And it kind of does a disservice for maybe some smaller security companies or whatnot that want to contribute their knowledge to the cannabis space. Some of it, like they're missing a lot of things, like and that's doing a disservice to both them and the licensee. So I think there was a, whether it's readily available information or whatnot, I don't know what the disconnect was, but some of that kind of education and teaching process, I think, could have been better.
And where's the friction points at for these independent craft businesses that are tasked with, I mean, I can say them right now, like super high resolution on the cameras that you have to keep for then like an extensive amount of time. And so like who ends up benefiting from that? Because I know like the dispensaries aren't the ones who benefit from it, right?
Yeah. So, like it truly doesn't feel like money is going really into someone's pocket. It's going to storage, like actual data storage.
So like Amazon Web Services or like
Or like hard drives, like really extensive hard drives that you have to purchase. And then you have to have battery backup. And when for this for a certain amount of hours, but the battery backups measure how much tech you have to, equate for X amount of hours. So that gets a little bit pricey, right? But there's a lot of good in that too. But like, we can sit here and debate too, and like, what retention do we truly need? What resolution do we truly need?
Sure.
Do you need to see the gray hairs in my beard, or is it okay if it all looks black? Right. So yeah.
And I hope that we can work together to change some of these things as a community.
Yeah. I think time does it though. Like, I mean, and I'd like to think in every state, time does, inflict change. It's like, okay, cool. Right now, we're waiting for people to start operating, right? Okay, so we have this theory of, or not theory,
Theory of a dead man,
right? Theory of time now. We have this foundation of all these regulations and just rules and everything that we need to follow, right? But we need to start using them, right? And we have people building out, but we don't have enough people right now transacting, and we don't have enough people, doing this day to day. So I feel like with every market, it changes, it grows, and it's hard to predict. Like yesterday, I think there was a question: where do you see, Minnesota in like 5 years or something? I don't know how to answer that question. Like honestly, like no, I can tell you where I want it to be, but I don't know how to answer that question because in every market, if I would have guessed something, I would have been wrong.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the instability that the cannabis industry is faced with is a huge detriment to the overall cannabis industry.
Yeah.
We talk about Schedule 3, we talk about descheduling, we talk about the future of hemp beverage. Ultimately, I'd love to see a single plant solution for this industry. So that we're less concerned about, is it hemp, is it cannabis, is it THCA flower, is it microdose, what's the form factor, what's the age gate, where's the product sold. Minnesota brings a unique perspective to hemp and cannabis, and I also like to say we have 5 markets within the cannabis industry. We have home grow, we have independent craft, we have hemp, we have tribal, and we have medical. And I think if we continue to provide more stability within the industry through rescheduling and with the goal of descheduling eventually, that this market and this industry could look a lot different. It could actually become an industry instead of a space.
Right.
Because I think I'm guilty of it, but I'll call out the rest of my peers here in Minnesota. Is like we talk about the cannabis industry. Well, some of the more experienced folks in the room nationally would say, well, it's more like a space. There's people building within the space, and it's not actually a fully built out industry because it's such a state by state market. Even the larger companies still have to get set up and scale up on a state by state basis, and that's just really doesn't scale.
Yeah, but even within the state and like other states, there's municipalities that are different, and it's almost acting as its own state within the state, right?
Yeah, munis,
Right,
and which
so-
are coming online more and more.
Yeah. And rules and regulations can be completely different, or they can completely opt out. You could be the 1, 2, 3 municipalities is like there is no cannabis. No.
Do you know that munis are in, like municipal liquor stores, which are common in Minnesota, are at risk of losing hemp beverage because that is federally regulated?
Yeah.
And so with the point forward, they're especially in trouble compared to a privately ran liquor store in Minnesota. Now, it's June 27th as we record this, so we still don't know where where we're going to land there. You know, so folks that are optimistic say there's going to be a carve out for hemp beverage. There's a CBD pilot program going on with Medicare right now that, you know, is going to need full spectrum in order for it to continue. So we'll see what happens. We have a radical administration, so we don't really know what's going to happen. But there is some technology questions that I think we should talk about. Like, you know, what technologies are essential? What are nice to have? What are overhyped? What are underutilized? And I think we can kind of dig into that from like a game perspective, right?
Yeah.
Are you up to play a game?
Yeah, that's very good.
Okay, cool. So this game is called Tech I'd Buy, Tech I'd Skip.
Okay.
And for each item, you're going to give a buy now, buy later, or a don't buy.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with environmental controls.
By now.
And this is from a cultivation perspective.
Yeah.
Before we go too deep into it, let's give a preview or a precursor for like Curate.
Yeah.
Curate can help on the cultivation side as well as on the dispensary side.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the technology you have. Yeah. Or like the services you provide.
Yeah. Essentially, when you look at a dispensary or cultivation facility, let's look at a dispensary. Anything that really is tech and turns on and off and talks to the internet, that's something that we touch. Your TVs, your menu boards, your POS, your firewall, your modem, your actual Wi-Fi. That's all us. On the cultivation side, there are a lot of moving pieces, but we are really just the tech, security, and like computers and things of that sort. So environmental controls, irrigation, things like that.
Yeah.
They talk to us and we allow traffic,
Sure.
but we don't touch it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Right.
Yeah. We're the communication hub, if you want to call it.
Okay.
Heartbeat.
Yeah.
Let's put some.
And like, how much has that changed within your time at Curate? Like, how much more technologically advanced are these grows becoming?
Automation, right? You hear that word. Okay, so AI is a big buzzword.
Yeah.
Right. So automation is a really big buzzword, and folks are trying to be more efficient and understand after, like, say, in the cultivation, after a few harvests, right? You were probably the best grower in whatever facility that wasn't regulated like 15 years ago, but now you have a license or you're hired in and you are in a regulated space and you have a team and you have an ROI, and the loss can really hurt you. So finding ways to be on top of it, regulated. I mean, like, we're talking about cameras that can like detect mites. Yeah, like on leaves, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you can quickly isolate by being notified.
Right.
And maybe if you had 200 plants, you would couch it like that. But what if you're in a facility with thousands, right?
How like you and your company, you pride yourselves on having helped open hundreds of dispensary stores. But what is the range and size you've seen on the cultivation side? Small, medium, large.
5,000 to like, I don't know, like 100,000, like,
Square feet.
Yeah, like large scale plants to like small, some micro.
Yeah.
So we're across the board.
Are there micro growers in California at this point?
Yeah, there's still micro growers in California. Yeah.
Small batch.
Yeah, small batch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those when they're doing that, they're going for a premium price.
They're going for a premium price. They're going for like more of a brand. It's and there's a level of artistry. I compare it to like, like the craft beers. You know what I mean? It's like that type of artistry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Um,
So in my world, in the digital space, there's a million different ways to launch a website, build a platform, take online payments. But, software as a service is tough. POS software in general, right? There's a lot of different ones out there, especially in the cannabis space. I don't know the right one. If you ask a lot of different dispensary owners, there probably isn't a right one. It's just what path do you want to go to that leads it down? What path have we gone down?
are you referring to Dutchy, the modern cannabis commerce point of sale system?
Newly integrated AI solutions?
I mean, they have so many different ways that they can serve cannabis businesses, brands, wholesalers, etc. They're not just point of sale technology anymore.
Right.
Dutchy's been a great partner for us. They can definitely help you. They're in more stores in America than any other point of sale company. So they must be doing something.
I hope so. And if you're going to look up our boy, look up Gus.
Yeah, Gus Savastos with Dutchy, based out of Ohio, served the Midwest market well. He's here often. He's been on the show before. We love working with Gus. We love working with the whole team at Dutchy. Check them out and let them know Canna Connect sent you. We'll include the link in the end of the description. Beer and cannabis is actually, that was a concept that I wanted to develop more. I even owned beerandcannabis.com for like a year or two.
Yeah.
Because I thought, within Minnesota, there's such a crossover between craft beer and craft cannabis.
Yeah.
I think one of the hardest parts is actually allowing room for the craft cannabis market to develop. And ultimately, it comes down to the operator, right?
Yeah.
How savvy is the operator?
Yeah.
How flexible are they? What's their ability to jump through hoops?
Yeah.
Right? So, like, compared to the New York market, like, how would you juxtapose the Minnesota market and the New York cannabis market?
There were so many start and stops in New York. There were so many tears and struggles, and there was a lot of anxiety. And this did not start very smooth here,
Yeah.
but it did get to the starting point much faster than New York.
Yeah.
So we're in this phase right now where it's like everyone is flying forward at different paces. So, I'm a little confused by when you look at the statistics of like what they're saying about how many places are actually open versus what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I'm seeing much less, right? So I'm not sure
Right.
where the stats are going.
Well, we're also in the Minneapolis or St. Paul market for our 10th trade show here in the last 3 years, right? So it's like, yeah, that's part of getting out to Brainerd, which you guys have been instrumental in helping us have a pulse in Brainerd.
Yeah.
Duluth is another one.
Yeah.
Not to say that's exactly where everybody is. Like we're ignoring the southern half of the state, and folks say, "Hey, when are you coming to Mankato? When are you coming to Rochester? When are you coming to bumfuck southwestern Minnesota, where there's like Laverne? Not that you know what Laverne is, but it's like Minnesota is. There's no opt-out policy.
Yeah.
So it's not like a Colorado or a California where there's just some pockets where there are no stores. We're also up against the Dakotas. Yeah. So you're seeing that those border towns start to fill out. But because we're landlocked with prohibitionists, not to say Iowa's prohibitionist or Wisconsin. I mean, they've got 25 and a higher milligram drinks. Yeah. But I think we're super spread out because of the border access and the strategic, if you're going to be first to market, like be on a border town. So like, maybe that's part of it. Yeah. Otherwise, they're all in Uptown.
Yeah.
The Moxie.
Yeah.
If you're coming into Minneapolis, stay at the Moxie Hotel, and you can walk to plenty of dispensaries.
Yeah. Facts.
So there's a lot of conversations that happen in and around the cannabis space, both here on the Canna Connect Show and in the Cannaverse. But there's really one person that comes to mind for me who's there all the time, and that's Corey Lake.
He's in the middle of it. World Insurance is his world now, and Corey Lake has made Minnesota cannabis his world, and it's starting to pay dividends. He's being seen as a thought leader and an advocate for the greater cannabis industry. He understands it. He takes a measured approach. He's never too up, too down, and he's fantastic to work with. We work with Corey Lake, World Insurance, and CannaSure. And we recommend you reach out to them if you have any insurance needs.
Yeah, look up Corey Lake. If you haven't met him yet, he's your guy.
You know, I am though happy seeing, you know, the progress and like these facilities are starting to open up. Um, and I really want to get into like the thick of it. I want to see like, okay, now we have multiple locations, everyone's open, they're transacting, and we've covered more neighborhoods and zip codes. And I want to see where the market's at. How is everyone feeling? You know? So yeah.
One thing that's like clicking for me this weekend that I'm realizing more and more is like the competing pressure is like at the end of the day, like the OCM wants to provide jobs, or like government is trying to provide jobs, and government's trying to like grow what they do.
Yeah.
But then there's a little bit of like, well, the entrepreneurs are also trying to provide jobs.
Yeah.
And if you make it harder for the entrepreneurs to provide jobs, and you're over regulating or making things overly, the compliance measures are just very hard to stand up with. Like, it creates this like fight a little bit with like how slow can you go? How slow can you go? And it's like, you know, we sat down with Jacob from Prospect Cannabis yesterday. I believe he's on a micro license, but he's going to have the ability to add another store. But it's like, is the OCM and the state of Minnesota, are they like, when are they thinking that things are really going to come to fruition? Because there's bottlenecks along the way that's making folks feel like it's going to be 2028 or 2029 or 2030. And I think about the Dutchies, the Covas, the Curates, the Can Deltas, the Forte Ops, the CannaZip packaging folks, like that have been showing up and showing up and showing up. Like, you can only continue to show up and spend thousands of dollars every trip and walk away with only so many new leads before you have to then look to Delaware or look to Rhode Island or look to Virginia and whatever comes after that. So it's like, it is extremely challenging to live and exist and continue to stay alive in cannabis.
It is. I mean, you're 100% right. And like anything, like you start a band, you have a product, you have to, that's like the grind. We call it there. You know, unfortunately, just you got to do it. If you want to stay in it, and you got to have a conversation with yourself, like, am I really going to invest? And that's where like, we're also seeing like kind of a different part of the cannabis industry right now. We're seeing like new companies come in, like that have never been in cannabis, right? And coming in like really strong and hard, and like maybe a little bit confused, or some of them know exactly what they're doing. They know the value they're going to add. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for value. I don't know everything. I want to, you know, or really be exposed to it. And if we can only go so far and we need outside help to make us smarter and better, so be it. But you also got to watch out for people that are like, this is a cash grab, right? And that's where I'm always really worried of SMBs, you know, and like family businesses, right? Because it's like, I like live in the stress that they live in, not to their extreme, because it's not my money and not my license,
right? But you have a window into their house.
So I don't want to see anyone being taken advantage of, you know.
What are some companies that impress you, whether they're ancillary or operator wise, in Minnesota or without? What are some companies or partners that you really appreciate that have been very helpful for you in the last couple of years?
Yeah. You know, CE, you know, Center of Energy and Environment, they've been really great too, because like, you know what I like about them? Well, they're great folks. But when they talk about rebates and talk about savings and talk about programs that exist that can help you before they even talk about what their value is, it's kind of a strong character, you know. It's
to have a nonprofit that's able to do everything that they do. It helps when you're backed by Xcel Energy, for example. But like, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? And like, I remember meeting CE at the Legacy Cup in 2023 and really not understanding them at all. You know, but like, we showed up, they had a big team. Like, I'm like, what are these guys? And it wasn't until like 2024 when we started to work with them through the Cannabis College podcast. And then 2025, when they came on to help live stream and support the educational efforts and be a part of our programming, And they've been able to refine their message and make it more to the point so folks aren't confused. Like they're not a rebate company. They're a nonprofit that helps with energy savings.
Yes, yeah,
Great.
100%. So I've gained a lot of respect for them and what they offer to the market. A company like our friends at Sewing,
Yeah.
who 6, 7 years ago, sitting in a room with them and saying like, hey, this is happening. Why don't we go educate ourselves? And the only way to do that is to go to every single conference in every single state.
Wow.
And it was like, are we doing this? All right, let's do it.
They were 100 in.
They're 100 in, we're 100 in, and we educated her.
Yeah, and you guys have built a great partnership.
Yeah, it's unlike any partnership I've seen, because like we also learned about each other's values and helped each other, become stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then in this world too, it's like, you know, I think sometimes like in our world, the tech world, not enough love like goes back to like the brands too.
Yes.
So, and it's like, what's on the shelves, right?
Right.
Who are all these folks that are like showing up inside the stores on like a Saturday afternoon
Yeah.
and Friday, trying to help the bartenders and push, like,
Yeah.
um,
Concentrate Labs, Disco, Mini Grown,
yes,
Unbound, Varus Fields, and like right now you can name there's like Aurora Cannabis.
Yeah.
There's like 12 brands out there, right? But like what's interesting, and I've already seen it, is the menu boards all of a sudden are just strain names, right? So all of a sudden, like we were so worried. Minnesota's very particular. Okay, this brand, that brand, this brand, that brand. But then as soon as you get to the dispensary, it's Cap Junkie. It's not Cap Junkie by Munir's
yeah,
dispensary.
yeah.
So like that's an interesting thing too, where all of a sudden it's just like Vans shoes.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm smoking Vans.
Yeah.
Smoking on some Vans. But who made these Vans? I don't know.
Yeah.
Then the consumer
Which
doesn't know.
ones? Are we
So-
going authentic? Or are we going?
Yeah. That story you told me last night about like product moving from one state into another state.
No.
I mean, that's a problem we don't have right now above ground.
Yeah.
I think there's a very healthy legacy market happening in Minnesota that's, all of a sudden the governor last year, now it's maybe 2 years ago, was like 10% tax? No, 15% tax.
Yeah.
We got to pay for these clearing centers.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
kidding. I'm just kidding. All right. So like, I've got a list here.
Yeah.
Some topics that maybe we can talk about.
Yeah.
Tech you'd buy, tech you might skip out.
Yeah.
Let's think to the micro business operator
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
Cultivation, crop steering software. Tech you'd buy now, buy later, maybe not buy.
Maybe not buy.
ERP systems. I think we should spend some time on this.
Yeah.
I don't fully understand why, as a micro business, I would need an ERP system. Where does an ERP system come into play?
All right. So there's a component of it where, it's the state regulation, or you have to take the data and report to the state. So that is regulation you need to do. Now, if you're a micro, yes, there are ways to integrate with like spreadsheets and all that. I'm not promoting spreadsheets, but then to be compliant and track it and be very meticulous, and transfer data. Or there are other ways of folks like plant tags, like stash stock, RFID, that can help you through that. So
Okay.
ERP is a very loose word. There are companies that say they're full, ERP solutions. There are companies that are partial of it. I do have a bit of advice for folks. It's like, just pick the one that's compliant and that's going to work for you. You know what I mean? You might not need the bundle,
Yeah.
all the different components, at least to start.
You can order the sandwich without the fries.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least to start.
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
Tomatoes later. Right?
Yeah, later. All right. What about RFID and inventory tracking?
I would say buy.
Yeah. Bing, bing,
Yeah,
bing, ding,
yeah.
ding. Scott is so consistent. Like that is Tiger's hat, glasses, maybe the beard, maybe not the
The accidental non-beard. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Stephen, can you loan me $50?
$50. What are you going to the dispensary?
Well, yeah, because they don't take credit cards.
Oh, yeah. And some of them don't even take debit cards. Cash only.
Cash only. Cash is king.
Cash is expensive.
Yes.
You know what works better?
No, do tell.
Evolve Payment.
Oh, Don 3, baby.
ACH.
Yes.
Automatic Clearinghouse.
Who is Evolve Payment?
Evolve Payment is a local business based out of the Twin Cities, and they are helping cannabis businesses, not just dispensaries, a lot of cultivators as well, transact through ACH, digital payments, much more effective, affordable to utilize, and you minimize the risk that comes with holding cash. Cannabis is still very much a cash-heavy business. It's risky, it's expensive. Evolve Payment helps minimize your risk while keeping you paid and making sure your money arrives on time.
Man, sounds like a great advertisement if I've ever heard one.
If you need an introduction to Don 3, reach out to Canna Connect. We'd be happy to introduce you. I mean, this is just beautiful. I just love how well this conference is going. They're like tearing down at like 2:30.
Yeah.
The conference is going really well on Saturday at 2:30 when you're just seeing like the up and down gates, unless that's like a really tall espresso order. I don't know what that noise is, but we're with Open Window Productions. You probably wouldn't even be able to hear this in post-production, so we'll keep going. Advanced surveillance systems. I think maybe like a Solink comes to mind.
Yeah. You need security. That's by now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And then AI cultivation tools or automated trimming. Are you familiar with any of these?
A few, and I would say later. By later.
Yeah. Integrated facility dashboards. By now, by later.
By later.
By later. And then sensor networks and environmental monitoring.
By now. By now.
By now.
Like,
yeah. Because the Internet of Things is critical in cultivation.
Internet of Things is critical, and you mess up a crop,
yeah,
you just lost money and time.
Right. And so it's almost like knowing the weather every day when you're inside your grow, or maybe you're not inside your grow.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about a little bit of regulations, like overall, like where would you say you're at with like the Minnesota market as it pertains to regulation or, the program?
I mean, we have to be 100% button up. So, I mean, myself, my team, like we are always on it. Any changes, we pivot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing that you can speak to maybe with the Curate hat or maybe without the Curate hat is like industry collaboration. Like how critical is it to bring industry minds together?
I think it's one of the best decisions anybody can make because it will save you on costs, and collectively, if we all spoke, right, we all have core values and core products, right?
Yeah.
And there are other things we can do, but I think together, by coming together with whatever group, say you're the licensee and you bring 10 of us together, there is a cost savings there.
Yeah.
But also there's like, you got to get everyone talking together that you're working with. And it was a point in my panel yesterday where it's like, I am spoiled by the days where that used to happen. There was a thing called an all hands meeting. So, I don't see it anymore.
Within Curate or with your clients?
It's like the build out.
Yeah. Oh, like a kickoff or a jump off with like
checking.
With multiple parties involved. Yeah, right. More collaborative.
Yeah. And what was interesting about those moments? The one person that was quiet in the last 5 or 6 all hands, all of a sudden has something to say that would have thrown everyone off. Calls out something like, hey guys, if we don't do this, like we're all screwed.
Right.
And that guy was quiet for the last 5 calls. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really important to have the team.
Yes.
It's team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, there's some elements of opportunity, I think, for you to lean further into later this year with social equity applicants, minorities in cannabis. Like where are folks like minorities and social equity applicants being overlooked within the Minnesota cannabis program?
In every market, what I have found is, the education program that Canna Connect started building and offering essentially to everyone. If that doesn't happen with the social equity, that's going to be what's overlooked. And social equity seems, I don't know why it is. It just seems like when they're needing information, it's not given and no one's helping. I don't know. There's like some disconnect, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, here's your license. Congratulations.
Yeah. And like, as I think back to like my time with the Minnesota Cannabis College and our summer last summer with monthly educational events, it's hard to keep these programs going year on and year off. And like, there's peaks and valleys to the industry, January being one of them, where it's like a exceptionally quiet time in the cannabis industry, especially in Minnesota when it's really nice in January and nobody wants to come here. The consistency, right? Like consistent key, I used to say. Like when DJ Khaled was super popular on Snapchat, like consistency is the key. And delivering that week in and week out, or month in and month out, whether it's in person or online, it's one of the most challenging parts about marketing is being consistent. And, you know, with the Cannaverse, the newsletter that we run and put out every week, like that to me is a measure of consistency. But then from an educational standpoint, like we had 3,500 potential licensees in this market, in the space here within Minnesota. Like, you're not going to get everybody within like June to November of 2025 when there's still a runway happening right now. And that's why we lean into YouTube, because it's searchability and be able to find. But like, you know, eventually people move on from the Minnesota market. Like they go hop to Virginia or hop to Pennsylvania or whatever's next. So I think I know what you're coming at, but like, what are you looking forward to this summer when it comes to putting your brand and your name behind some things that'll help bring more people together?
You know, we're talking about Brainerd, and we're talking about Duluth, and we're talking about these other parts. I truly, that's kind of what I want to do. Let's get on the road. And let's hit them. I mean, I think back at, you know, being in the car with partners and going to like Springfield, Missouri, and then, you know, going to like Columbia and going to these smaller towns. And this doesn't matter how big a room is of people. It's like, okay, this is the community. This is the cannabis community here.
I
don't care how big it is.
Right.
You know?
Right. You have a lot of fun with everything you do. You know, that's a big part of your personality, is you're not here just to sell security cameras. Like, you want to engage with people. You want to get to know people. You're a relationships-based person. Like, what is working for you right now in cannabis at Curate?
I do love building relationships and, you know, being part of communities and eating the food and just sharing stories and building stories. I'm going to continue to do that. It's working for, I love making friends, you know, and, you know, part of it, the selfish part of it, I love learning, right? So it's like, you know, every time we have a conversation, like I feel like we truly learn, we walk away with at least one thing from each other, right? That is cool. Or it could be like, you remind me of a song I haven't heard in like 10 years. So I'm going to go listen to that. So your suggestion just left with me, right? You know what I mean? So I find that with like,
you remind me of a girl that I once knew.
There you go.
Can't believe it in my eyes.
Everybody, Stephen.
Usher Raymond, everybody.
It's, you know, I thought this completely off tangent, but I was playing this game with my wife where I was like, it's 7 o'clock and I'm in my what? You know, like, and I just was like, you know, trying to come up with these lines and like have her finish the song.
Are you optimistic over the next few years for the cannabis industry?
But I'm also so unsure about it, you know, and the only way, it's like I'm in it, and I told myself I'm in it and I want to be in it, so I'm in it. Like pivot is like, it should be like tattooed on all of our like foreheads.
It's the 5th P in marketing.
And yeah, I'm, you know, I'm optimistic. I'm in it.
It's so slow, but yet it's so fast.
It's slow, it's fast, it's chaotic. And then what's the next obstacle? I don't know, but there's gonna be one.
Right. It's like when you're playing Super Mario and like the screen's gonna keep going.
You'll get pushed out or like, you know, forward.
Favorite video games growing up as a kid?
So I loved with my friends to turn the music off on Mario Kart and GoldenEye, and we put on a soundtrack. And an album, and we listen to front to back, and it always somehow fit. Always fit.
I loved like, I remember a 420 back in like 2010, 2009, and it was like the first time that we got high and we turned the TV off, and then we played something else, like we played music over the TV, and then you would just watch like.
It works.
It's so trippy.
It 100% works. Actually, we did that with Top Gun the other day, where we just like collaborated on a playlist of just 80s hits. And without any sort of direction. And that was the soundtrack for Top Gun with the sound off.
It reminds me of like when you see Corey Lake in the apothecary at Earl Giles, and the eyes are just like watching you.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like I'm being watched right now, and I don't know. I can't.
I
shake
always
it.
feel like
Somebody's
somebody's
watching.
watching me.
Oh, that's so good.
What if people don't know you and they're still looking to get to know you? Like, what is one thing you'd like people to know about yourself and the work you do?
You know, I just I love to help folks, and I don't want to sound cliche, but if I don't know the answer, which most of the times I won't, I know a guy.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, the
I-
network is the network.
I've made a lot of friends,
Yeah.
and we've made a lot of friends,
Yeah.
and it's been great, and we have fun. And I think that's what keeps me also motivated. It's not like my intent of today or what the market is doing. It's like, where are my partners at? And sometimes we have to lift each other up. Like,
Right.
I'm so happy to be here. But there was a moment yesterday where I don't know, I just felt kind of like down.
Yeah.
And the partners that really know me, I think kind of caught wind of that. And I, from my observation, they like tried a little extra harder to make fun of me or something.
Oh,
They
yeah.
lift
Right,
me up.
right.
You know what I mean? And
It's yeah, I mean, it's that smell blood in the water.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and like kudos to every vendor that's come out to CannaCon this weekend. This is our last interview of the day. Shout out to Open Window for the support. Shout out to Elite Capture Studios for the photography. And like shout out to all the vendors that are investing in Minnesota cannabis, because we're doing so within these like confined conference room spaces, and it's going to take real commitment and a willingness to embrace the unknown to do new things.
Yeah.
Whether that's at the cannabis marketplace or the MN marketplace through Hey Mango, or it's Canna Connect Brainerd and Canna Connect Duluth, like you have to be willing to try new things, because clearly like this traditional trade show model is on its way out, at least as it stands currently in Minnesota cannabis. And there's going to be a lack of like, well, I've never seen this event, so why should I do it? But you have to believe in the doers, and you have to believe in the people that are willing to show up. And that's what makes our relationship special, is that we're willing to do it in person.
Oh, 100%. And I gotta give a big shout out to like Canna Connect and your vision to, in any capacity, to continue just to bring people together over whatever the subject is underlying, this market. But it is very unique, and that's what drew me to you, just being consistent. You still are the same, you still have the same mentality and have pivoted on how you do it.
Yeah.
But your core is never changed. And that's the soul of Canna Connect, which is awesome, which is why I like to say I know Stephen. So
yeah, you do. You do. I appreciate it. And like there's still so much meat on the bone.
yeah.
We just have to be strategic and like lean into what works, not get too distracted, because like if we're consistent and we deliver for our partners will send it back around.
100%.
Yep.
100%. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Munir Haque, curate, president, California, but he'll travel anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you need something, reach out to Curate, reach out to Canna Connect. We'll put Munir's information in the show notes. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank
Good
you
to see you.
Yeah,
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Canna Connect Show Season 2 live from CannaCon. That's a wrap.